Here with my girlfriend Tina Mack, who is a payment expert and has been in the industry for a little bit over 11 years now. She's going to help us touch on how to scale your business and make your operation more successful. Welcome to Slay in Your Lane, Tina.
Thank you, Candy.
Glad to have you here. Tell us more about what it is that you do and how you've been helping small businesses.
Great. I'm Tina. I have been in the payments world for 11 years now, and in the world of finance and banking for a total of 22 years. So I know a thing or two about money.
I would say so.
I think that my greatest strength is being a master connector. I love understanding a business owner's vision, their purpose, how they want to grow, how they want to scale, and helping connect the pieces for them of how to get there. I really love understanding people's passions, people's drive, their why, essentially. And I love creating value for any client that I work with. And I also really love kind of expanding into how to get to their destination, but using different tactics and paths. So I love it.
You can tell her passion, obviously, of what she likes to do and how she wants to be able to help our audience and viewers out there who maybe are struggling with how to get started to open their business, right? Where do I even begin? How do I start maybe collecting payment? And as I shared with you, as a payment expert, I would love to really dive in, Tina. We work with a lot of business owners, whether they own a nail salon, boba tea shop, restaurant, liquor store, car wash. Payment services is very, of course, that's how you collect money, funds from your consumers.
Right.
Tell us, how is your services differ from some of the, there's so many companies out there. Tell us what it is that you do differently.
What I do differently is I really learn and understand what the business owner's needs are in terms of payments and collecting payments. Because there's a lot of one-stop shop kind of solutions, but nothing is really customized and is specifically tailored to the specific needs of all the variety of businesses that we have here, right? And so what I do is I learn and I understand the needs of the business, and then what I do is I customize a solution that fits your need. I also take a look at all of your overhead expenses, and I look at, if you currently have a solution, I look at where I can help save you money if I do provide you with an alternative. I also look at kind of like a bird's eye and a hawk eye view of the operation, right? And ultimately, if I take a look at all of that and I can assess that I can be a lucrative asset to your business, then I provide you with a solution. If I think that you have a really, competitive solution already for accepting payments and that you're in a good spot, I have the honesty and the transparency to tell you that, hey, you're in a really good position right now. You've negotiated a really great deal for yourself. I think you should stay with where you're at. But I think that in today's landscape of how we exchange money for our services, being connected to a direct source that's able to customize a solution for you is something that is really unique, because in this landscape of banking, money, payments, business, everyone just kind of hands you off to a plug and play solution. And we're finding now that the plug and play is not as sustainable, especially for a business that's scaling in so many different ways.
Right. So it's not a one size fit all. I like that, Tina. And I think, to me, this is a little foreign, but I trust that anyone out there who is currently enrolled in a payment service understands. Because on a consumer side, I just know when I'm buying an acai bowl or getting my hair done, I'm just using my Apple Pay, swiping it. Someone's getting charged that transaction fee, right? So whether the business owner is absorbing it, maybe the fee gets relayed to the client, the customer, but ultimately it's you going in and assessing what it is that the business is doing, where you would maybe tailor a monthly service that would fit them and make them still profitable.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, exactly.
Essentially.
So it's a full assessment, right? It's like, okay, let me take a look at your business. Let me take a look at the transactions that are flowing through your merchant account that you currently have. Let me take a look at like your current structure, and then let me see if I can make make this better for you. Let me see if I can enhance it. Let me see if I can make it better. Also make it, more cost effective for your business. Where is the leakage in terms of, how much you're paying for this service? This is something that is a value. I'm creating value for you whether you work with me or not, because when you are in a position of being a sales and service provider, you have to create a sense of value for a potential customer.
Sure.
And so whether that works out in the end, I know that I've done my job and I've created a sense of value for you, or I've taught you something.
I love that.
Which I think is so important.
No, I think for me, I'm learning, okay, so I come from the world of lending, and so my fees are different when I charge for, say, credit report or something. But I'm just going to use, for example, we had Casey Burrows on the show last week. She sells candles, she does subscriptions, and I believe, let me just name drop what we all know as what is it?
Shopify?
Is it Shopify? Right? They're a merchant service or a payments processing service, right? So for someone that maybe has data of, say, a year, I mean, how much data would you need to analyze to say, look, there's some holes in your business that I can see I can save? In those scenarios, can you share with maybe someone out there right now that is looking to shave some expenses now that tax season is here, they're filing it, and they can identify what can they do to then reach out to you and say, hey, look, I need some help?
In order for me to do like a proper assessment of your payment solution, I'd need about 2 months worth of statements. Once I have 2 months worth of statements, I'm able to kind of like review, see what kind of transactions are flowing through your payment solution, understand a little bit more about the volume of your business, and then I can kind of build a strategy from there. Okay. So new businesses, I feel like really need as much payment information as possible. And so those are the ones that will really require a lot of my time and attention, because I'm educating and also kind of like helping them in the next steps of their business. I'm connecting them to sources and to resources that maybe would be beneficial to the growth of their business. That's not like an immediate client of mine, but that's a client that I can consult and maybe help build them to the next phase, right? A more established business is going to have a lot more understanding. They're going to have maybe experience with several other providers that have tried to solicit them for their business. So they are a little more aware. They're going to have a lot more specific questions. They're going to give you the statements and kind of wait to really understand the assessment of those statements. And so with every kind of client that comes my way, I have to really understand the context of what makes that client special, right? So are you a client that comes in with a lot of experience? Are you a client that comes in with a lot of background? Do you understand the world of payments? How are you applying your knowledge to the solution that you've created in your business? And so we go through that flow together. The more that I learn and understand about the business, the more that I'm able to help and strategize.
Okay, and is this all for businesses in the US, or what about out, say, Canada or overseas? How are payments received? Is it US dollars that you mostly convert it to or need to?
So I have payment solutions that will accept international transactions from all over the world. They will always settle in US dollar. Another interesting, discovery, since we're on topic here, as long as your business is registered as an LLC in the US and the owner of the LLC is US based, meaning you have a driver's license, passport, social security number, financials, then you are accepted into most, or if not all, payment processing solutions in the US. What I'm discovering as of recently is a lot of people live abroad. They live in all different countries, but they operate American-based businesses. I have clients that live in Dubai. I have clients that live in Europe. I have clients that live in Asian countries, and they are Americans. They operate American LLCs. They and they run American businesses. They live abroad. That doesn't prohibit you from entering into the U.S. banking system, right? And so yes, we have a wide variety of solutions, and as long as you meet the criteria, then you're not prohibited.
I'd imagine then, Tina, because in anything, whenever we say enroll in insurance, unless we see an increase in fees for our health insurance or even our homeowners insurance, our car insurance, that prompts us to call our provider and be like, all right, what's happening? Why the increase? And then you start shopping around. At what time would you advise any business owner to start looking into that? Because what is excessive? What is considered excessive in this space?
That's a really good question. I think it is very healthy and common to do an analysis on your business cost and operations at least every quarter. You want to check into, does the cost of this service match or is fair to the volume that I am producing? Because if you take your total volume of sales for the month, right? Everything that you've collected from your business, and you divide that by the total amount of cost from a service provider, and that number that you get at the end of that calculation seems very high to you, that is cause for you to look into why.
Okay. And when searching this, I trust if they were to Google, what would the provider be? Just merchant services? What are people Googling to find you? I mean, aside from finding you directly.
So I am the Vice President of Sales for Trinity Payment Solutions. Our website is trinitypaysol.com. You can find me on Instagram too. It's at Tina Mac, and I'm happy to help.
I love it. Well, I'm interested to learn too, because this has been a big topic, buzz for us in regards to, as you know, Bitcoin, cryptocurrency. Is that a space that you also then dabble into when people are accepting payment? What's going to happen if digital currency is going to be the new norm? How does that then impact business owners that are accepting payments through a manual system? Curious.
Well, I think that we're still in the infancy of digital currencies evolution and growth. I think that that's the end goal, right? For a new currency is to get regular merchants to accept it. But I don't think we're going to be there for a while. Yeah. Most people think that banks and financial institutions are at the cutting edge of technology. That is false. It is very, very, very hard for banks and financial institutions in today's market to adapt to the speed of change that technology brings us. They're slowly adapting to technology, but most banks operate at a very, very, very slow capacity. A lot of banking today is still really a manual process and requires a lot of human review. And so I don't think that we are, it's gonna take a while. It's gonna take a while for us to see the fluidity and the ease of, consumer and merchant accepting cryptocurrencies.
I agree, because I feel I'm not used to it yet. I mean, I dabble, I have some funds in there, but I haven't tried using it, or I don't know who accepts it. Even it's still foreign when it comes to receiving that as a form of down payment for purchasing a home, right? And I agree. I don't think it's going to be obsolete anytime soon, but I was just curious to see how that will evolve over time, right? So super gnarly. But not only that, Tina, I think when we were chatting earlier before the show is you are really passionate about helping not only save money for for business owners to scale, but you like to go in and almost be a consultant in regards to seeing where there are other areas that can be addressed to be more profitable, to save more money, and or to grow the business. Tell us a little bit about maybe an example that you went in and maybe helped a business owner because you're like, wait a minute, I'm not only going to help you in this area for payment services, but why don't you do so? And share us that story.
So I think in all of my years of experience working with entrepreneurs, I've realized that entrepreneurship is very lonely and it is very singular. And most people who are operating a small business or who are building a business, they really isolate themselves from really learning and growing from different perspectives. And so you get stuck in this bubble of isolation, trying to build your business and trying to build your brand. And it becomes very taxing to really open yourself up to different perspectives, open yourself up to talking to different business owners. And so what I do is I try to be a trusted source where I'm just listening and really understanding your goals, your objectives for your business. And then I help give a different perspective. And if that perspective is well received, then I'm able to plug you into my resources and I'm able to plug you into the other service providers that are in my ecosystem that I know really go above and beyond for their customers. So I think what I try to do is really come in and be just a trusted source where a business owner can feel a little relief in just talking about their challenges, talking about how they want to scale, how they want to grow, but they feel challenged, you know, and I kind of like help them navigate through it. So I don't know, maybe it's like business therapy,
I like it.
Business consulting, business
it doesn't
connecting.
have to be so cut and dry, right?
Yeah,
It's
it doesn't.
I mean, that's a service that you provide that which is very tangible, valuable, but it also doesn't hurt because, like you said, the whole entrepreneurship, you can feel like you're on an island. Who do I resort to? Is there a friend that's in the same industry running through the same problem? Because otherwise, you don't know, and there's only so much YouTube University or whatever can teach you. And I think it's nice. It's a really comforting to have that shared with you because you are speaking to so many business owners day in and day out that you may have come across a similar scenario, or you know who they can maybe speak to that can help them in their situation, which I think is a beautiful thing. So super rad.
Thank you.
Yes, yes. And what else? So tell us, how did you get into the industry? What inspired you? Like if someone out there was like, you know what, I think I want to do this. Are you hiring, by the way?
So I've always been in some kind of service, sales, banking type of role. And 11 years ago, I got to a point where I was bored. I wanted something challenging. I wanted something new, and I wanted something that had unlimited potential. And I did not want to be micromanaged because, you know, I had been in all these roles and positions where, you know, I realized, okay, I had to really learn and understand what my strengths were and what my challenges were internally. And when I realized and learned more about how I work and where I can apply those strengths, I kind of created a list. I was like, okay, I want to work with a company that is going to have leadership that is going to operate as like a mentor to me. I want to respect the leadership of whatever company I decide to work for. I want to respect and learn from the management and the people that I have to answer to within the company. So that was the first thing that I realized was really important to me, right? And then I wanted, because coming from a world of banking, I realized that, you know, my compensation was always capped, right? You could be the number one producer of any financial institution, but there was always a cap that even if you exceeded your goals, you were never going to be compensated more than, you know, the cap that they've allotted for you. And that never resonated with me. That never sat well with me. It actually killed my drive. And so I was like, I want to be in a role where if I was the number one producer, nobody could ever tell me we can't pay you based on your production, right? I wanted somebody to be like, sky's the limit. And the more that you produce, the more that you will earn. So I had to like really create a list and a vision of like what I deeply wanted in this next chapter. And I just sat with it. I sat with it and I embodied it. And I was like, what would it feel like for me to travel for work? What would it feel like for me to meet with clients? What would it feel like for me to have unlimited potential? And I was like, I don't know if this even exists. I don't know.
Are you remote, Tina? Do you work remote?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
And I was like, but I didn't start that way. So I was like, I had all these things kind of outlined. And I remember thinking, I'm going to make it a job for me to find a position or a company that fits this criteria. And there were moments where I was, it was like 1 month, 2 months, 3 months of going on interviews, getting offers, really kind of figuring out and navigating, is this the right opportunity for me? And I just kept thinking, when the right opportunity comes, I'll feel it. I'll know it. It'll resonate with me. And so there was a moment where I was like, this is not happening. This is not happening. And I was getting so nervous about it, but I just kind of kept going. And then I went and had this incredible interview, and it didn't even feel like an interview. It was 3 hours long, and it was a flowing, easy conversation.
Love it.
And did they hit all the things on my list? No, they didn't. Did they offer me something on the spot? No, they didn't. But I got an offer. It wasn't the offer I wanted. I felt very undervalued in that offer because I came in with a lot of experience. I came in with a lot of a really well executed resume, and they were like, look, we want you, we think that you'll do great here, but you don't have the expertise in this particular vertical of payment processing. In fact, I had never done payments at that point. I had referred to payment solutions when I was in the banking role, but I had never actually gotten to the nitty-gritty of payment. And so they used that as leverage, basically, to underpay me. But I took that on as an internal challenge.
Yeah, room for growth, right? And I'm gonna show them what I'm capable of.
Well, yeah, I was like, I'm going to be running this sales team in 1 year, and you're going to triple what this offer is. And I was like, I will accept this based on these conditions. Within 6 months, I want a full review, and I also want a plan for growth.
Love that.
Within 8 months, I want this. And then within 1 year, I want to be fully able to grow and scale my own portfolio of business based on my merit, my drive, and my belief that I'm going to crush this, right?
Tina Mack here, guys, just dropping nuggets. Ladies, if you girls aren't tuned in listening to this is absolutely what you really should be taking notes on, emulating, because I think that's the biggest struggle for a lot of us female, whether you're working corporate, entrepreneurship, is really asking what you want for what you want, know your worth, and not be afraid to set those, whether it is lofty goals or not, but just taking time. You methodically took a moment and mapped out what it is that you can offer and do for this company, whether it was a year outward and where you want to be, and to be able to say, hey, I'm going to deliver that, and this is what I expect in return. I don't think we learn that in school, right? There's no class that teaches you how to negotiate your offer. Okay, here, this is what you're going to get paid, your salary, and you accept. At least for me, I know I was a little timid growing in. I was just excited to get a job.
Yeah.
But I think more and more as we evolve in this modern day world, and as we are doing more than what the role is asking from us, because believe it or not, since COVID, I know a lot of people are experiencing this, you're wearing multiple hats. When a lot of these companies shut down and they consolidated, these employees are doing more than one role, more than one specialty. And so don't be afraid, and don't devalue yourself. Know your worth, girls or gals, and really step into that space. And ask for that.
You're 100% right, but also let me add that being in banking banking and finance and payments is a very male-dominated space.
Sure.
And, you know, banking especially, all spectrums of banking, it's all very male-dominated. And so when you are a woman in a male-dominated space, it's so important to understand that no one is advocating for you but you. No one is going to negotiate a more fair rate for you other than you. And I think that, you know, we lose our sense of value sometimes just wanting to get over that finish line and kind of wanting to get over that, like, oh, I accepted a really great position. But did you accept it based on your need for a job, or did you accept it based on the assessment of your value and your contribution to the organization? Because oftentimes I feel like we undervalue ourselves, which inherently gives the organization the allowance to undervalue you also. Yeah. And I love negotiating. I have negotiated every part of my life.
Her way through life. I love that.
And it's
an art.
It is.
Really an art. And a high that you get from it when you get your way, right?
But also it's like it reaffirms your belief within yourself, right? And negotiation doesn't have to be deceitful. It doesn't have to be manipulative. It doesn't have to be aggressive. It can be as soft as a feather, and it can be gracious, and it can be courageous. And I think that, you know, it's really about the delivery and how we communicate our value and really what we're willing to work with and what we're not willing to work with. And I think that women in the workforce, as much as people don't want to admit it, women bring an unlimited amount of value to organization. The way that our minds work, the way that we're able to manage multiple things at once, the way that we are able to manage budgets, the way that we're able to forecast, the way that we're able to execute, the way that we're able to manage a team. These benefits that women bring to organizations really are priceless. And
strong qualities that you definitely want on your team nonetheless. And in light of International Women's History Month, I think you just nailed it on the head, where those are some of the superpowers that we possess as women. And not to sound sexist or anything, but that's also what men should embrace and be aware of if they haven't already recognized that, because they know what we bring to the table. They just got to remove their ego and accept that. We're the organized. We make. But lastly, I must ask then, Tina, because you're born, bred Californian, but moved here to Las Vegas 6 years ago. Tell us, what inspired you to make that move?
I was ready for a change. I was ready to invest in property. I also was ready to start saving some of my my taxes. Like, I love California. I will always love California, but it is, you know, it's a challenging place to really build wealth. It's because unless you are born into it, or unless it, you know, it's generationally kind of handed off to you, it's very hard. It's really challenging to have such a high tax responsibility being a California resident, and also being a California investor, or also being a California-based business. And so I decided and chose Las Vegas because it is still so closely accessible to California. So I could essentially drive home and see my friends and family, but I also was able to almost do a rebrand on my life, you know?
I like it.
And it was such a powerful, incredible move.
Aw, very touched by this one. Well, thank you, Tina, for sharing your story.
Thank you for having me.
I hope you girls, guys out there enjoyed this segment, because I really did. I look forward to building businesses here in Las Vegas and beyond with Girl, with not only her payment expert services, but her just ability to be able to help consult these business owners on identifying things on how they can really improve. And that's really what we're here to do for our community. So thank you.
Thank
and
you
you
for
guys
having me.
heard how you were able to contact her earlier, so we'll definitely drop that information below. What else? Anything we're missing?
Nope, that's it.
Thank you guys. We'll see you on the next one.
Bye.